see how you live it. 10 toes in when we standing on business. I'm a big step off. Underground method. God knows who will get the most of the straight news.
Surfing YouTube here with more Path of Exile 2. Today I'm going to show you guys my Ranger Deadeye Lightning Arrow Lightning Rods build that absolutely decimates the entire game. I'm currently level 68, so I haven't started mapping, but this character just decimates everything. It's so fun to play, it's so smooth, and it's very tanky. So let's get right into it. Build up my stacks. And the character itself has 84% evasion. So I'll pretty much dodge just about every hit. I've got a decent amount of life, 1156. A ton of mana, 924, and that'll come in handy. 183 spirit also comes in handy. Don't need all that, but if you end up getting it, that'd be great. No armor, no block. Overcapped res, 92 fire, 104 cold, 91 lightning, 21 chaos, and I also used the charm for chaos, so that'll bring me up to 39 chaos res, which is really good. We're sitting at 169 dex, 102 intel, which is like the minimum, or a little bit less, around there. We got a little bit of energy shield. Our life recovery per second is decent, 35. Mana huge. Total mana recovery per second is huge. Estimated chance to evade is 84%, which is amazing. Fire res, like I said, we're all capped. The res is a little bit of thorns, not important. There's the most important stat there. Damage taken. Damage taken modifier. 30% less damage when I do take damage. So that is absolutely gigantic. That is from the Deadeye Ascendancy, Tailwind, that you get on skill use. And then it gives you 3% less damage per Tailwind, and you can get 10 stacks. So that's where all my survivability comes from. That's the only thing that we have other than evasion for survivability, and resist, of course. Right, moving right along to the passive tree. I'm just going to show you exactly the route that I took. And I rolled intel early because I knew I was going to transfer to cast on shock, so I rolled all of these nodes intel real early. Intel. Came up here. Grabbed all this great lightning pen. And chance to shock elemental damage. And then 15 increased damage for each type of ailment on the enemy. And then ignore to the right, and we're going to back up to here. Then I went over to the left here, all intel still, picked up all these projectile damage bonuses, stun buildup, damage, accuracy rating at close, popped down here, popped over to the left. This is in the mercenaries tree, remorseless, for increased stun buildup and projectile damage. More projectile, more projectile. This is what I really wanted, was the chance to additional chain from terrain. So I picked that up nice and early. After that we zipped down here to the lightning damage, and then this was a really huge one. Shocking hits have a 50% chance to also shock enemies within a 1.5 meter radius, which is pretty huge. More electrocute buildup. 50% increase electrocute buildup against shocked, and 50% shock chance against electrocuted. So they're like symbiotic there. It's perfect. And then ignore that strength node down there. We're gonna bring it back up this way. We came over this direction for the elemental damage and the freeze buildup. We do have a little bit of cold. We can freeze. Still picking up intel over here. We picked up all the lightning and the electrocute buildup here. And then now we're finally back down to where we needed to start getting dex again. Alright, so I went, alright, needed dex. I popped right over here. Got proficiency. Then got all these attack speed nodes here. With the 1% per 15 dex, that was huge. Huge DPS boost. Came down here. Grabbed all these projectile damages. Additional projectile when forking. 25%. Cool. 75% for additional projectile when forking. So now we definitely have additional projectile. Came down here. Got 50% pierce. 15% pierce. And we already have a couple of other pierce nodes. So we're at 80% chance to pierce. Another 5 from chain from terrain, another 15 from chain from terrain. So we're looking at a lot of pierce. We get additional projectiles while forking, and additional projectiles from terrain. So we're stacking that up. This was for the build. I didn't want to include like expensive jewels and stuff, so I went ahead and I just, if you guys have a jewel, go ahead, pop it in here. Right here's the perfect time. I just don't want to make the build super expensive. I want it to be less than a div, so. Then I ran over this way. And this was a huge node for survivability. Without 100% increased evasion rating from equipped body armor. As a side note, I will come back up here and get 30% evasion rating and 8% increased dex when I get a chance. But I need to squeeze some more damage out of lightning first. Came over here. Gripped up the herald damage. Herald damage, and then 50% increased lightning damage while affected by Herald of Thunder, which is huge, obviously. Now we needed 5 strength for something stupid, so we added it on. Popped on here. Our next route is going to be down here. 1, 2, 3. Right over here to the elemental damage with attacks. We're going to grab this. We're grabbing this to get more freeze and shock and electrocute. And it'll actually help us ignite. We have a tiny bit of fire. We're going to zip right over here. Penetrate some more resistance. Get more chance to shock. Penetrate more res. Increase the lightning damage. And then this is where we're going to end at like 80 something. 84, 82 or something like that. It'll be lightning damage with non-hits crits is lucky. So it's just going to roll twice. And the better result is used, so for lightning that's huge because the range is so huge. So we're not going to play crits, we're playing lucky strikes late game. And yeah, do whatever you want. This is exactly how I ran it and it worked perfectly for me. Super tanky, super strong. Alright, so moving on to the skills. We use Lightning Arrow, Lightning Rod, Voltalic Mark, Conductivity, Electrocuting Arrow, Herald of Thunder, Cast on Shock, Arctic Armor, and Mana Remnants. From the top, Lightning Arrow has Lightning Infusion, Primal Armament, and Martial Tempo. Lightning Rod has Scatter Shot, Concentrated Effect, and Magnified Effect. Voltalic has Persistence, Lightning Mastery, and Coursing Current. Conductivity has a Focused Curse, Impending Doom, and an Open Slot. Electrocuting Arrow has Maim, Neutral Overload, and Inevitable Critical, which is pretty huge. That's why I'm always able to hit crits on the boss straight away and start my chain of damage. Herald of Thunder has Conduction, Lightning Exposure, and Culling Strike. So I call the boss at the end with this. Cast on Shock, Ball Lightning, Impetus, and Energy Retention. Do note that I kept my Conductivity level 11, my Cast on Shock level 10, my Ball Lightning level 11, my Arctic Armor and my Mana Remnants 11 and 10. I kept them low to keep my intel costs down. Okay, so the next one we had was Arctic Armor. And that has the bludgeon effect to knock them back when they hit. And it'll cause more freeze buildup. And on Mana Remnants, we got Clarity and Precision. One thing we can put in here is Herbalism, but I'm 2 spirit short from Herbalism currently, so not a big deal. We don't get hit that much. Right, so that's all the skill gems, easy peasy. Next is going to be our items, which are kind of different because everyone's gonna obviously have different items. This is my, so what I did was I got to the end game, I beat the boss with everything that I had crafted myself throughout the playthrough, and then I took a div that I found one div on the way here, and sold it for Exalt, used those Exalts to get all of this gear that I'm currently wearing. So this is not gear that I got through the playthrough, but if you watch my live streams, I actually crafted all my own gear to get through the first playthrough just to make sure that it was doable. Couple of points, yeah, you can see these are all kind of expensive. It's going to be kind of hard for you guys to relate on some of these, but what I'll do is I'll show you my stash, where my old gear is. Bow progression is going to be a pretty big deal. Pretty much every chance you get, try to upgrade your bow, quiver, and your gloves. That's where your main damage is coming from. Bow, quiver, gloves, all 3 of them. So here's what I started with. A level 17 bow. I threw a couple of lightning damage runes in there. It had fire and physical already on it. It had 2 levels of projectile skills, dex, and 3 life per enemy hit. I used this all the way until my next bow, which was level 28. So this got me from 17 to 28. When I got to dual string, I grabbed up the dual string so I could fire the additional arrow. That's why we want it. I threw the elemental damage with attacks thing in there and added cold damage because now I had cold, lightning, and fire with increased elemental damage with attacks. So this was a really huge boost. It also had the projectile skills and reduced requirements with the dex, so like this was just a great pickup at level 28. It was crazy. This was the quiver I was using pretty much the entire time. Just fire, cold, damage, bow skills. I ignored the crit. Gained 28 life per enemy killed. Was really huge. Crappy helmet I used. Crappy energy shield armor that I used through the whole campaign, even though I'm evasion. A belt that I used. Some decent boots that I used. A nice ring that I found myself. A nice amulet that I found myself. I mean, nice because it has the spirit I needed anyways. And regen. So the items weren't all that important to make it through the campaign. I still was able to do it. Then also, the advanced dual string bow that we upgraded to was a huge damage boost. So you can see the progression is really about the bows, the quiver, and also the gloves. I had like these crappy gloves right here, level 28. But it was 2 life per enemy hit with attacks, so that was good for me. Oh, actually I used these right here. When I got to 45 with the increased attack speed and intel. So anyways, that was all gear that I crafted myself. Actually, these were the ones I used for a while until I got attack speed. So all this stuff, that stuff I rolled myself. This stuff I bought all for less than 1 div. I made sure it was real cheap. And then, like I said, in my passive trees, I could buy an expensive jewel or whatever and put it here, but I didn't do that for this build. And also here, there's 2 jewel slots that are just one-off. We can insert 2 expensive jewels wherever we whenever onto this build. There's the one where you can jump over. I was thinking maybe I might put the one where you can jump over and fill in anything within the radius and just get the electrocute damage hat on the increased damage on electrocuted enemies. That was one thing. Side note, you can always pick this up acrobatics, so you can dodge all spells and all damage, but I just didn't want to, just a preference of playstyle. Let's see here, that covers all of that, that covers the gems, that covers this. Oh yes, the playstyle. So it's real easy. I'm just gonna take you through a real quick run on the boss. There is no gem swapping. You don't have to swap your gems. You'll literally just run through, blast everything. Alrighty, here we go. This is what a typical run will look like. If you move quickly off the waypoint, the doors will be open. Like some of the doors will just automatically be open. You'll be able to get through a little bit quicker. That was a rare. Every once in a while, you're going to want to shoot. If you stop shooting for more than 10 seconds, this way you keep your tailwind stacks up. Cruise right into the bus. No swapping. Go ahead and turn on focus fire. Get all your rods down. First thing you want to hit is your electrocuting arrow. You get your buffs on them. Boom, there's your buffs. Boom. Now you throw more rods. Wherever he stops, that's when your damage will come out. There it goes. Gone. Melted.
I can't give up. I must save my people.
You know why we're here?
Start pre-cooking.
It cannot be stopped.
Rods are down. Again, hit him with electrocuting arrow straight away. He's already halfway down. Bolt the buffs. Boom, hit your mana pot.
Nothing will stand in my
Rods.
way.
And he's gone.
Do not fail me. Not now.
That was not perfect at all, but you get the point. He's so shocked, he can't really do anything. The DPS is so strong. If you want more DPS, you can also swap
You can stay here and die.
Primal Armament
Come with
over
us
onto
and help
your
save the future.
rods, but you really don't need it.
Legacy of the Val must be protected.
So yeah, that's the build, the guide,
Best you start talking then.
all that
My friend
jazz.
here isn't exactly the
If you guys
peacemaker
like,
type.
then subscribe to Surfing YouTube for more Path of Exile content, and I will let you know how mapping goes since we just made it. Right, peace.
You got it with the product in the middle now. That's how you make the money pop for everyone involved. If you don't never cut the wood, cut them out. My Baba got me on keep out every single time. Fresh big, getting fitted on that top bridge. You ain't rocking out of lies, bro, when we young. And you know I got it hard, more than what you wrong. R.I.P. in your memory, we carry on. When I died, it was not buried, me, not what I want. Put my body on my ashes in the river, y'all. That's how we doing that the flow, but to carry on. The immortality is a fallacy, I prove it wrong. The other family gon' carry me the way we young. Anything you ever do, and anything you done. They ask me how you get at this, how you get at this. Why you worry about it? Get up on my dick, get up out of it. What you did is this, baby, we ain't worry about it. Why you straight up when they ask me how you get at this, how you get at this. Why you worry about it? Get up on my dick, get up out of it. What you did is this, we ain't worry about it. Why you straight up when they ask me how you swerving. Bring to the money like it's urgent. Hands on God, so I'm in it like a virgin. The skin color like the bourbon. Worldwide time that we face flows curtain. I hear you, nothing ever certain. Only thing that's promise is the road. Yeah, so we find a way to go there. Only thing I'm breaking is the back with the bullshit. Yeah, baby, you already got the hoodie. Tucking it inside the hoodie. Now we turning it to buggy. Fight the bully, now I fight with the dog. Guess I think don't leave it bullets. The jam, in the jam, movie, man, I got